Okay, everyone, we're about to get started. If we can please be seated, silence our cell phones, please close the side doors and the back door. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, good morning, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 18th day of August in the year 2025. This is a City Council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a 10 a.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 10:06 a.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley. Councilperson Hewlings.
Present.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Soleil is not here. Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore is not here. Councilperson DeGise is not here. Councilperson Rivera. And Council President Waterman. We have 6 council members in attendance at 10:06 a.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman and members of the Municipal Council, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall. The annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2025, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Friday, November 15th, 2024. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, August 15, 2025 at 7:57 p.m. to the Mayor, Municipal Council, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, President Waterman, members of the council. I have 4 items before you today. First one is number 1043, Resolution 25-537. Resolution will authorize the sale of 100 motor vehicles through the publicsurplus.com public online auction, which are no longer suitable for use. Second is Resolution 1044, 25-538. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to AME Incorporated to perform installation of a Honeywell Web N4 proprietary automated building management system at the city's 911 Emergency Communications Center located at 75 Bishop Street. This location houses the network service associated with 911 communication system and the public safety network, and the present BMS system has previously failed and is unreliable. In order to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens, city residents, and occupants of the building, I declared this to be an emergency expenditure. Total cost of this contract is $79,046.
Director, when you say the BMS service has failed, can you say more about what that is?
That's the building management system related to HVAC.
Okay, so that's failed in Bishop Street.
Yes, that's correct.
Got it. And have these guys started working, or when can they get in to do the work?
Actually, we contracted with them. I signed the emergency declaration, Councilman, to move it quickly. Right now, we have a temporary fix, but that hopefully we can get them started this week, latest by next week.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Next one is Resolution 1045, 25-539. Resolution will authorize renewal of an open-end contract to the amount of $56,526.04. City Electric Supply, LLC, for electrical supplies and equipment. Funds for this contract are available in the DPW Buildings and Streets operating account. And the last is 1046, 25-540. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to McCluskey Mechanical Contractors to provide HVAC services for city-owned buildings under the Hunterdon County Educational Commission, HCESC. Total amount of this contract is $750,000 with a temporary encumbrance of $5,000, which is available on account 01-201-26-291-310.
Morning, Council President and council members. I have 4 items on for today. First item is 10.30. It's a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for extraordinary unspecifiable service with Met Life Insurance Company to provide life insurance to non-management city employees and retirees for the Department of Administration, Division of Human Resources, and Office of Employee Benefits. The amount of the contract is $298,300 per year with an additional 2 one-year periods for renewal. This covers the non-management employees for life insurance that we're required to provide consistent with the executive order and other types of agreements that we have in place with our employees. Questions? Next item I have is item 10.31. It's a resolution authorizing the award of a contract as an EUS with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company to provide management, city employees, and retirees for the department. So these are all of the management employees. The cost of this contract is $209,467 per year with an option of 2 additional years at 1 year period. Questions? The next item I have on for today's agenda is item 10.64. It's a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by Murphy and Orlando for providing litigation services for various cases. That is found in resolution 25-558, and the amount of the contract is $81,732.20. The invoices for the services are attached there too.
So Director, what were those services for?
They had a variety of services, but one was the ward map case that was there, as well as other matters that they've done for our office and for other offices that Human Resources works with. So predominantly the first bill listed, if you see the attached, had to do with the ward map case that they handled. And then other matters they handle for us have to do with EEO compliance and EEO matters that we review that go to outside counsel for a variety of reasons, whether if it's conflict purposes or if it's somebody that's of a higher up on the authority process.
And when, sir, can the law department speak to why the word map case is coming as a claim and not, through the normal contracting process?
So basically what happens is we do a lot of crossover work. And I work with my team to rectify this, but this is more of a communication gap between offices. So what we've done traditionally is we'll do work with our office, and then we also have to work with other departments, including the law department, including the other agencies. So long story short, it was just a snafu when it was brought in because we only looked at it as a solo budget. So I'm representing, I guess, the issue for a few departments here, but in essence, now we have a procedure whereby we make sure that we're coordinating a bit better on some of these matters.
Okay, thank you.
And the final matter that I have is item 10.65, 25-59, which is also a contract for Abrazazi, McDermott, Mastro, and Murphy to provide legal services, a variety of services from April 24th to July 2025. The total amount that's owed is $184,248.32. Consistent with my explanation in the previous one, this is also being submitted as a claims reso because we do coordinate with other departments. And with that being said, we use their services a lot. We were only looking at it from a solo, one-dimensional type of aspect, but the services are all listed, and this is the firm. They represent us in numerous negotiations with all labor unions, and also they were the firm that were very successful with representing the city in the state of the emergency claim. Any questions? That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
I would just like to record Person Gilmore present at 10:15 a.m. So we now have 7 council members present.
Council President, the Department of Infrastructure has 21 items on the agenda this week. All of them are summarized for you in a memo that all of you have in front of you and via email. If you have any questions, you can email them to me and the BA before Wednesday's meeting, and we'll answer your questions. Do you want to bring something to the council's attention? Last week, my staff and I attended a community meeting organized by the Ward F councilperson to discuss a proposal to redesign 2 streets. So first, I want to give you the facts of the proposal. The mayor recently announced a plan to convert 2 streets in Greenville into one-ways to accommodate safe transit and bike infrastructure. My staff was asked to prepare concepts and to present them to the community for feedback. The presentation that we delivered showed a conversion of MLK and Bergen Avenue into one-way streets with dedicated bus lanes on both streets. No bike lanes were proposed on either of the streets. So of course, this is just the beginning of the conversation. It would be a significant redesign for both of those corridors, and we would have to conduct further analysis if the city decided that they wanted to move forward with this. That ultimately is a decision of the mayor and the council, not ours. The community meeting has been recorded. It took place Wednesday of last week, and it's been reported by press. You can all review it. There were a number of questions and criticisms that we got about the proposal itself, about the process, the way it was rolled out, and the lack of sufficient data, all of which we acknowledged. There were also insults and profanities shouted at the staff throughout the presentation. The meeting was attended by hundreds of people, including some of you and your staff. Even after we asked that people stop with the personal attacks against staff, speakers shouted out things like, "Go F your mother," while staff were presenting. There was one speaker who acknowledged that we were just messengers in this process and then made references to messengers getting shot. It's one thing to disagree, vehemently disagree on the issues, but threats of violence are never acceptable. Personal attacks and verbal abuse directed at staff cannot be normalized, and someone has to say that out loud. We prepared a presentation because we were asked to, and it is our job. We showed up because we made a commitment to show up. We stayed because we knew how important it was for us to listen. But it's also important that professionals are guaranteed an environment of safety and respect when they're being asked to conduct city business. This is an absolute bare requirement for any of us conducting any city business in any capacity. I'm urging that the council and the administration work together to ensure this does not happen again. We can participate in community engagement in ways that are respectful and responsible and productive, but only if we first prioritize people's right to safety in the workplace. Thank you for your time.
Arca, I just want to, you could stay that director. Okay, so I think this, as a city council, you know, what the director stated is like totally unacceptable. And I don't think that absolutely no director should be going out to these meetings at all. We should have community meetings then, either here in City Hall or at the annex. But to get threatened like that is totally unacceptable, especially if she is doing the job that the mayor has told her to do. So I think we as a council should urge all of our directors, if they're going to go to community meetings should be either in a protected state, being that the fact that they were threatened to be shot. I wasn't there. I'm just going based on what the director said, and that's unacceptable.
Let me just briefly say a couple things. First, it is very important that we ensure safety of everyone. And all of us who have been elected officials for a long time know that people get upset. And when they get upset, rhetoric goes beyond where it should go. And we know that we work hard to ensure that we are there for constituents. Just to share a personal story, you guys were all here on the council. We had a speaker come up about talking about Israel and Palestine, talking about the deaths of children in Israel and Palestine. That speaker mentioned my daughter by name. We said nothing on this council. No one said that they were threatening my daughter's life. That person should have never brought my daughter's name up. Someone should never use a metaphor to be shot. But I think we also acknowledge that when an individual goes too far, we should say that individual went too far, and then ensure that we're putting in practices to ensure that that doesn't happen. I would also say that I don't think that we can have a conversation without what I think has been the extraordinary disrespect to the south side of the city that has been shown through this proposal. To just give an example, the proposal presented was moving MLK and Bergen to one ways. The entire public conversation was MLK and Ocean. But what has been said is we are voting on this in September. We are voting on this in 2 weeks. That is an extraordinary level of disrespect that engendered an atmosphere, which I understand why people were upset about that. That does not condone or accept any individual that crossed the line with the words that they used, right? And so, what my deep concern here is we are now being told that we're voting on a new proposal in September. That is still the direction that we are being told is happening. A proposal that was first presented to the community just a couple weeks ago. How can you do the studies? In the meeting, the city professionals honestly answered that they didn't have core pieces of information to answer the questions of constituents. And that made constituents angry because they're being told that we're voting on this. If you had said, hey, we're coming here to present an idea, and as questions are answered, we will now move forward, and then we will come back and answer questions before any action is taken. But that's not what they are told. They are told that we are voting on this in 2 weeks, that we are voting on the most extraordinary change to the city's infrastructure. And so from my perspective, I think, again, it is unacceptable for even someone to hint at violence, just as unacceptable for someone here to mention my daughter by name while talking about the deaths of children.
That right there is very unfortunate. If I would have
Correct.
known, right, that
Correct.
you said something about your daughter, I mean, I would have
By name.
actually, I would have actually,
Mentioned my daughter by name.
I would have
standing on that
actually
podium.
had,
And
I would have,
so-
I'm sorry, I would have
Yeah.
actually had them removed because
Correct.
that's completely
And so-
unacceptable.
Right, and so we condemn anyone whose rhetoric hints at violence, because we have to shut that down. And understand that moving forward, when we have these meetings and hold these things in place, that we're going to very, very, very carefully ensure that, but also understand that I again, being told that we are voting on this in 2 weeks and then not being able to answer basic questions about the plan, it doesn't condone violence, but I understand why people were very, very upset.
I mean, I think that, I'm not sure what was the directives that the director was given by the mayor and by the administration. But at the end of the day, yes, I'm not saying that we should not have discussions about the south side. Has the south side of the city been treated like shit? 100%. But, we have to make sure that it's done the right way. Councilman Gilmore has done his due diligence in bringing up this, questions and concerns to the community. But you cannot, and I know what you mean, you said it, we just have to continue to reiterate, you cannot threaten someone's life. You can't say, we're going to shoot you. The other stuff, as directors, as elected officials, we can say whatever, F your mother, that stuff doesn't bother me, right? But I've been personally threatened here where the police department has put a fixed post in my house for weeks, right? Hey, I can protect myself along with the Jersey City Police Department, but some people just can't. And unfortunately, I get, what the community is saying, But I also, we as public officials have to protect the constituents, especially our directors. You cannot, absolutely not, you cannot threaten someone with shot. You don't know if you're going to actually shoot somebody. You don't know where that round is going to go. It can potentially murder that person, can potentially hurt that person. But the fact that that word was said, we have to take that to the fullest extent of being cautious. Again, I want to reiterate, I'm not, trying to downplay the concerns of the south side of the city. The fact that that tweet was put out and it put everybody on an outroar. Yes, I think that the director and her staff should have said, hey, that's not coming from us. That's not really going to happen, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to vote on something like that. And if it's going to alter, the livelihood of a huge community, we as council people have that common sense that we won't let something like that happen. But we need to make sure that you cannot threaten somebody's life. And I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, Councilman, I wish that I would have known whoever was here that threatened your daughter, because the same way,
Jump in.
the same,
But to
you
be
can jump
clear,
in a
the
few
point-
minutes. The same way that person that told me to go fuck myself and I had that person removed, I would have done that and probably had that person arrested.
But just to be clear, the point I'm making here is rhetoric goes too far. Did that person mean to threaten my daughter's life? No, but they were using rhetoric that went too far. That's the point, is that when emotions get high, rhetoric goes too far. And the thing is to say, hey, you did go too far. You can't say that. But also understand that rhetoric is going too far, right? That, like, there's a difference between that and that's agreed. It wasn't right. But that's
Not
the point
rhetoric,
of
that's a
what
threat.
I'm trying to make the comparison here, because I'm
Yeah.
saying, look, that happened. No one said anything. It wasn't the
I
right
really-
thing to do.
I need to jump in here
Wait.
because,
Wait a minute.
No, I need
think
to-
Denise was waiting. That's what.
Yeah.
no, I don't want to, listen, the Palestinian protesters that came in here, should they have used your daughter's name? Absolutely not. The point of their speech was to imagine if it was your child, okay? That's what the point was, because there are people getting killed there by our tax dollars. I've had my family members killed there with my tax dollars. It wasn't to threaten your child.
Right,
But
the
no,
point-
you can't equivocate the two.
But there
There
was,
was someone that made an implicit threat that was removed from this council, okay? And then they were arrested because they didn't want to leave. There's not the same.
Okay, all right. Denise, she was waiting. Go ahead, Denise. Denise was waiting. Go ahead.
I just think that we need some clarity, particularly as a council, about the proposal, right? Because we were saying that, okay, now it's switched from MLK.
Y'all all,
and-
excuse me,
So-
y'all all shouldn't leave, because somebody gonna have to answer to some.
Right, I need somebody to answer these questions.
Right. Y'all don't all walk out. Y'all got resolutions on here. Your director left because she's still upset. But y'all still got resolutions that they may want to answer, because she didn't go over. She sent the memo.
Yeah,
But
Council
we
President,
would go-
I think what the director stated was to email her and she'll have the.
No.
Wednesday's meeting.
Listen to what I'm saying. Somebody gonna have to answer. those resolutions.
Yeah, some of your staff should stay here.
Yeah. Somebody
Somebody
has
in
to
the
say,
staff
that's
has to
what
stay here.
caucus is for.
That's all.
I'll stay.
Okay.
But as far as the proposals go, and now it's switched from, I guess, to MLK and Bergen. And then we have council people saying that it's definitely going to be on the agenda for September. We still haven't received
Thank
any of the proposals as a council. Nobody has contacted the council and said that it's going to be on for September. So can somebody give clarity? Is there something that's going to be on the agenda in September? And when will we actually get something physical with a plan?
Administration, do you have an answer? Because it's your,
Because right now, this is all hearsay and
Correct.
everybody is very passionate and upset and everybody's in a frenzy and we still don't have any direct answers from the administration.
I don't think the plan has entirely been finalized. Part of that meeting, that was understandable. So until that plan is finalized, we don't have any current intention of putting it on the agenda. Obviously, we have to give the information ahead of time so you can properly review it. And we have to make sure that plan is final, so we're not changing on you guys when you are reviewing it. So I'll let you know as soon as we have the information on that.
Okay. So for the public's sake, there is nothing that the council has received as of yet concerning the one-way direction. All of this started because administration did a tweet. And this is the danger when you tweet stuff out there before you have any information. It made a community in an uproar that has a right to be upset because there was no conversation. And that's what I don't think we understand when we say things, even though there's not facts to it, the effects, the domino effects that it have. And now because of that, there was a community meeting. There was things that was said, people, emotions was high. They had a right for their emotions to be high, but we must be careful with what we say. And that's just the truth. And so now this council is facing this every day we walk out in the street. Someone is asking us about this one way. I keep telling them we have not received it. But for the public's sake, let me explain to you, the administration has the right to put something on the agenda. That is their right. But our right as a council, we can vote it down. All right? We can vote it yes, and we can vote it no. As of right now, we have not received anything. We hear what you say in community. We hear it loud and clear, but we have not received anything. Our responsibility is to vote. We have not received anything to vote on, but we hear your cry. Now, the director came for infrastructure because she was summoned to go to the community meeting. Based on what she said, as of now, she is still upset. She feels like her life is threatening. I was not there, but we have to be careful with what we say to people, and that is the truth because we don't know one another. I don't know if you threaten me, if you say something, you won't make truth to it. I don't know. People emotions are high nowadays. People are highly upset about a whole lot of issues. And so that's why we must be careful with what we say. So as of right now to the public, we have not received anything. We hear what you're saying. When the time comes, if the administration chooses to put it forth, that is the administration right. But our right is to vote on it. We could say yes or we can say no. This is the way the law is. We hear you. So at this time, I am tired of all of the gossip. Give us a chance. If the administration decide to put it forth, give us a chance to vote. And then from that point, let's see what happens. There's no need for nobody to be upset any longer. We have a director that's upset. We have to make sure she feels safe now because that is our responsibility too. Just like if anybody come into chambers and threaten someone, it's our responsibility to make sure you feel safe too. Everybody wants to feel safe. So now, enough. Now, when y'all want to protest, the administration is across the hall.
I just want
It's across the hall. Y'all have that right to do that. That's your right as a public. You have a right to protest. That's what you can do. All right? But just make sure it goes the right way.
Frank, before you
Yeah.
say anything,
Yeah,
I was with Barker over the weekend several times, and I think she needs an apology from whoever's involved in this.
whoever's the fault of, well, the mayor's the fault of it for this
Let me,
lack of leadership.
Frank,
But I just want to say this, hold on, I just want to say this, that, first and foremost, I don't condone any violence, any way, shape or form. Now I will say this, I will apologize because I hosted the meeting and I should have had more control of it. But I want to put things into context. And I think this is a beautiful opportunity for all us to have a learning session, right? So what someone said, because everybody were essentially lashing out at Barker, and I repeatedly several times that, you know, she's doing her job. This is the proposal that the mayor put forth that she's tasked with bringing to fruition, right? So after that statement, someone got up and said something to the effect that, y'all keep saying that she's the messenger and the messenger is the one that gets shot. on the surface, this sounds drastically dangerous, right? But if you know and understand dealing with certain communities and certain demographics, metaphors are used to heighten the understanding of what someone is trying to articulate. Now, they were saying that in a sense that, all right, Councilman, you're saying that, we shouldn't be yelling at them. They're just the messenger. No, we're going to yell at them and they need to bring it back to who gave them this plan to bring to fruition. I don't think that people were outraged and pissed off. And you can argue some people will say was rightfully so or not. But like I said, I will apologize because in a sense that if someone feel that they're not safe and I'm conducting a meeting, then that falls on me. If someone get hurt and I'm conducting a meeting, that falls on me. But this is the reality that we're dealing with. The mayor put out a tweet without context. Let's not overlook that fact, right? Let's stop looking at the side effects and go to the root cause of what the disease is, right? If he never tweaks this out without even, in fact, after watching their presentation, it's clear that he didn't even consult with the professionals on how this plan will look. It went from protected bike lanes to no bike lanes being included. It went from Ocean to Bergen all in one jump, right? That is a lack of leadership. And that's what, like, if we can call out everything, but let's call out everything. There's a certain onus. No, I mean, I get it, but there's a certain onus that everyone have to bear responsibility. And it's almost a disservice really to the council for the mayor to do this because he kind of put us in this, it's really a stupid situation, right? So here it is, we're sitting, instead of handling city business, right? We're sitting here voicing our opinions over things that have transpired because the mayor put out a tweet in this. I mean, it's just crazy, man. So I will apologize to Parker personally and the infrastructure staff personally, because ultimately I don't want anyone's safe. I don't want no one to feel like their safety is in jeopardy, but I'm also a realist and I'm extremely honest. I know that my community, this is what they use metaphors, right? Because they really want to articulate that pain and express that pain that was felt.
Okay. I think that we all expressed ourselves concerning this situation with a tweet that took about 30, almost 45 minutes or something that we really don't have control over. But nevertheless, we hear the public loud and clear. We understand how the director feels. The councilman, he apologized because he said that, it was his meeting. And Director Barker, I hope you somewhere around and you heard that. Because that was not the intent to put you in any way of danger. That's not the council's intent at all. That's not what we do here. But nevertheless, we'll see if the administration want to bring it forth. And at that point, this council will take a vote to say yes or no. But I know how we basically feel about this, but we have to get it in front of us. That's for sure. We don't have anything. That's why our hands are tied. We don't have anything for us to say it's A, B, C, and D, but we hear the public. I want the public to know we do hear you and we see your concerns. Councilman Saleh?
I was going to ask what would be the next step? Is it a study? Is it?
We don't know. That's all of this is but a tweet.
Okay.
This happened because of a tweet. We do not know anything. That's why we put so much time into something that was just tweeted out. And that's the problem. We have nothing tangible, no study, no anything. And so that is why. So at this time, let's continue with this meeting. Barker Group, we wanted someone here just in case they wanted to answer on the resolutions. That's why in the ordinance that she had placed. So now Jimmy Carroll, you went. Now Cohen, you're next.
So Cohen, before you go, just wanted to record Councilperson Saleh present at 10:21 a.m. So we now have 8 council members present.
Morning, Council President, members of City Council. HHS Food and Nutrition has one item to present. Resolution 25515, item number 10.21. It is a resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the 2026 WIC Women, Infants, and Children Health Services Grant from the New Jersey Department of Health. This is in the amount of $1,940,692. And I'm pleased to report there were no cuts to the program between this year and last year.
Questions?
Thank you.
Laura?
Good morning, Council President, Council members. I'm Laura Takuri from the Tax Assessor Office. I have 3 resolutions today. The first one is Resolution 25-500, item 10.6, a resolution granting veterans exemptions from local property taxation pursuant to the NJSA 544-3.30 for 3 properties. The first property is 118 Columbia Avenue, Unit 1. The second property is 200 Central Avenue, Unit 203. The third one is One Shore Lane, Unit A06. Property owned by 100% disabled veterans are eligible for 100% tax exemption on their primary residence. Therefore, I'm requesting the Municipal Council to authorize the tax collector to refund or cancel the taxes in the amount of $18,552.03 for the 3 properties. The second resolution is Resolution 25-501, item 10.7, a resolution to cancel a portion of the 2025 real estate taxes on Block 28701, Lot 12, 153 Danforth Avenue, due to an approval of the 5 years tax abatement pursuant to the NJSA 4821-5. The property was renovated and converted from 1 to 2 family home. The taxpayer applied for the 5 years tax abatement and was granted in March 1st, 2025. The 2025 assessment value didn't reflect the tax abatement portion. Therefore, I'm requesting the Municipal Council to authorize the collector to refund or cancel 9 months of the abatement portion in the estimated amount of $772.91.
When was the abatement given for this, Laura?
They apply in April, so they got granted for, they were granted from March 1st to December. So we prorated 9 months.
March of this year?
2025, yes.
No, did we vote on this?
The property is just a renovation, so it's nothing, they need approval for the council.
No, it says a conversion from from a 1 to a 2. Was it a 1 family, then they converted into a 2?
Yes, they don't need a council approval to change the number of units. They just need to get a building department permits and the certificate of occupancy.
No, I'm speaking, no. I was saying from the pilot perspective.
It's not pilot involved.
Huh?
It's not pilot, it's regular taxes.
So they had an abatement.
No, they never have an abatement. When you do have a property that you renovate, you have the right to file an appeal for a 5 years tax abatement with a certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
Okay. It's a 5 years tax abatement. That's what I say, is 5 years tax abatement, yes. They don't need a council approval for that.
All right.
Council, they consider rehabilitation.
Yeah. That's why I was confused. Okay. All right.
Okay. Anything else? So the third one I have is Resolution 25-502. Item number 10.08, a resolution to cancel a portion of the 2024 and 2025 real estate taxes on Block 4504, Lot 1, Qualifier 202 for the property in 122 New York Avenue. The taxpayer filed an appeal in 2023 with the Hudson County Board of Taxation, which was successfully reduced by $100,000 in assessment value. The reduction equates to a savings of $2,247 per year. However, a reduction was not applied for the tax list 24 and 25. Therefore, I'm requesting the Municipal Council to authorize a collector to refund the portion of those taxes for both years and $4,585. It was a typo there, but I'm going to fix it with Sean because I forgot to add the 2025 year taxes. So I only added the 2024. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. The Finance Department has 5 items on the agenda, 1 ordinance, 4 resolutions. The first item is 3.1, ordinance 25085. I actually reached out to the administrator's office this morning. We're most likely going to have to withdraw this ordinance from the agenda. It was just this was the original copy uploaded to iCompass back in June. There were some changes made, and there was another ordinance updated for the August 20th meeting. So there was just a misunderstanding of which one to approve. I'm not sure if they're going to swap them out or we'll just bring it back at the next meeting. But essentially what we're looking to do, as we mentioned in budget hearings, is repurpose existing capital funding, not necessarily essentially canceling any projects, but compiling all of our building project funding into one account, so we have more flexibility with spending. If one project goes over and one goes under, we have everything available to us, and also expand on some of the purpose of the funding to cover new things that have come up with certain equipment, 6th Street embankment, which the law department has been reaching out to us about. So we'll get all those details to you if this is gonna come back to council, but ultimately it's something we could do in September if there's no pressing needs.
Included in this?
Yeah, so we're carving out some funding for that.
Sorry, can I
Yeah,
jump?
go ahead.
So in 2012, a bond was issued for $6 million for the 6th Street embankment. That has just sat there because project hasn't moved, but it's dedicated for the 6th Street embankment. 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, when bond money was transferred, right, I asked on the council if what money was being transferred. I was not told that the 6th Street embankment money was being transferred. It was. I was told a different thing. There's a record in there. We brought this to the administration and we said, look, guys, that was not, we asked, we got to put the money back in. So the administration made a commitment to say, hey, look, that was an error. We're putting the money back in. So what Kyle is referencing is they are moving the 6 million back into the bond that should have never been transferred. That was an oversight. It was a mistake. It's being rectified. So it's not a new bond for 6th Street embankment. It is simply putting the 6 million back in that should have never been taken out. So it's making the ledger whole. That's what's happening. So it's not a new bond. It's just
Correct.
just making it whole. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all existing.
When did you have that conversation with the
It was the last
administration?
time a bond ordinance came where they were transferring unused money from other bonds. And so it was
Couple of years ago?
It was like a year and a half ago. We'll find the exact ordinance for you when it was up
I
here.
believe it was in 2023. So this is just corrective action to make sure everything's covered.
Yeah.
Are we close to resolving the issue with the strict?
I think there's a proposal. I have some concerns with it. So we'll see. But it is active. We're still actively pursuing steps forward, but there are some different steps that have to be done to get it there. Yeah.
So moving on to the resolutions, the biggest item obviously is 10.2, resolution 25496. This is a resolution authorizing amendments to the 2025 calendar year budget. We are still going through some things with the state, particularly some land sale revenues that we have in the budget. We have purchase sale agreements on, and we're just working on getting all of the complete documentation from the JCRA. The administration is working closely with them on that. So we're not sure if we'll be able to, again, similar to the other ordinance, not sure if we'll be able to present that on Wednesday. It may have to be withdrawn and brought back at a later date. But ultimately what would happen is the council would vote on the amendments. If the amendments were to pass, we would then have a public hearing, either at the next meeting or at a special meeting, and then another resolution to formally adopt the budget for the year. But just to speak on the current draft that the council has attached to this resolution, there aren't any major changes. We're basically ensuring that each departmental budget reflects the recent contract settlements for Local 246 in particular. So you'll see a lot of salary wage adjustments That's all we're accounting for there, and any personnel that's been, separated from the city. Additional grants that have come in since introduction. And we also had an amended annual financial statement after we introduced the budget that yielded some additional surplus for us, which is reflected in this amendment. So again, there aren't major changes here. There is ongoing communication with the state, and I'll be having a call with them this afternoon and get some clarity on what the timeline is gonna ultimately look like.
Let me ask you this question, because I know the councilman, he has a amendment on too for the budget. So now, he wants to amend that
Correct.
from the council budget and give it to infrastructure, who's not here. And the reason why I'm saying that, because there's so much going on with infrastructure, I don't know if we should even look at any way towards that because of the one-way situation. And you know, the concern of making sure that they, do what they're supposed to do. It's like, we're just in a whirlwind right now with all of this. And I'm so shocked because the state, is still looking at our budget and we at the end of the year. So nothing has been really passed. So we just spending. And we really don't have no control over the spending. And this is serious. This is a serious problem because we're spending probably more than what we bringing in. And I'm looking at the department heads and they short of staff. The city is short of staff throughout, the city. There are certain services that the public cannot receive because we're so short of staff. And yet in our budget, it was put in that, there was money for staffing in so many departments. So now I'm just, like, what are we really doing here? I'm serious. This makes no sense to me at this point, and then people got laid off, a few. So where are we with this budget, to be perfectly honest? It's the whirlwind.
It is.
Oh, just quickly address everything I can address for you.
Okay.
We do a good job of making sure that the temporary budget allocations don't exceed what was introduced. And if there isn't a situation like that, it would be reflected in the amendment. That's not the case today. Year to date, so we introduced the budget at 744
Right.
million. We've spent 460 million.
Okay.
All of that has been authorized by the council through temporary appropriation resolutions. So we are monitoring that. and
Okay.
That's not an issue. I understand the delay is concern to the council, but ultimately what we want to do is make sure that we can adopt the budget with as minimal tax impact to any taxpayer. So we don't want to move forward, take revenues out of the budget, and ultimately have to raise these by taxes or cut other spending. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that the introduced budget gets adopted as closely as possible to that. So as far as Councilman Solomon's amendments, I've been talking to him and his aides. They have the current draft that you have on my resolution. Their amendments would be on top of this. The state reached out to me as well to clarify that. So when the state approves the finance department's draft, councilman's amendments will be on top of that. So that is up to the council if they want to entertain them and take a vote.
If I could just
Okay.
I just want to briefly explain the amendment. So just exactly,
Right.
so what Kyle said is exactly right. They have their budget amendment, the state's approving. What we're proposing would be on top of that, right? So the budget office has their amendments and then we'll approve on top. And what we're just briefly, we have a memo with more details, but briefly what we're proposing on top of that is in the prior 3 years that we've all been budgeted for 4 full-time aides. All of us, have equivalent of 2 full-time aides. In 2023, that extra money was in our budget, but then was shifted to the insurance line. In 2024, it was in our budget, and then it was proposed to shift into public safety. My view is instead of waiting until November or December to shift it, let's shift it now. Although obviously our budget, as the council president says, is later than we would want. And my proposal was to shift it into the infrastructure department, specifically because I have, and I would guess many of you have, longstanding requests that haven't been fulfilled. So just for example, Marin and Grand Street, unsafe intersection, Columbus and Marin, unsafe intersection, Grand and Jersey, unsafe intersections. For over a year, I've asked the traffic and engineering teams to review to see what plans we can put in place to make better. And they've simply said, we do not have the resources to review those intersections. So my view is I could, scream at them when they're here, but I'd rather be constructive. And my thing is if they don't have the resources, it's my job to find them the resources. So that's why we're proposing this shift, which would allow them to fill a number of open positions, bring those traffic and engineers, staff in, so then those requests can get fulfilled in a timely manner, and then our streets can be safer. That's the purpose of it, and then there's the allocation there. And so that was what I was hoping to do with it.
Now, let me ask, last time when we had this conversation with that, the administration said based on what infrastructure have, they have enough funding in there to do this. So now I want to make sure we're not shifting anything from our budget, because if that's the case, if we can shift $1 million, then why can't I shift $1 million and give it to DPW? Why can't I shift $1 million and give it to HHS? The only reason why I'm saying that, because these are departments that are short-staffed. And I'm out here and I see that they're very short staffed. So if we have $1 million to shift, and if infrastructure already has money to cover what Councilman Solomon desires, then let's shift that money to make sure we can hire more people to do the laborer jobs, make sure that we can hire more police out there, give them the overtime that they deserve, because this city is out of control with bad behavior. So in order for us to kind of get it under control, we need more police, but the police has to be paid. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, then let's do all of that.
Yeah, Councilor, well, I'm not sure exactly the rationale as far as what resources they don't have, and unfortunately not here for us to question that. But I do know when it comes to professional staff, you know, we have an engineering contract with them where they can fill any gaps they have. We've also let them know that despite the freeze we have on hiring new employees, any professional staff that are critical or any replacements, they have been having the authorization to hire. So they should technically have the staff they need if they're talking about professional staff. If it's a matter of capital funding or other resources, I can't answer that without them being here, unfortunately.
Because this is the problem I have. If they have the funding to hire and we keep freezing them, stopping them from hiring, then what are we doing? That's what I understand. They have the funding. I keep hearing it. They have it, but then yet they freeze, they stop them from hiring. This makes no sense to me. The money's there. He says it every time we have these budget hearings. Y'all have the money for staff. You have the money for staff. You have the money for staff. But then yet they can't hire. Why can't they hire?
So again, I don't know specifically what she's done to hire them, but for professional staff, certain critical things like attorneys, engineers, things that take a longer time to hire because of the professional and the kind of niche market they have, we've allowed them to hire. We made it known to all the directors that if they need to hire any of those, we support it because we know it takes a long time to actually get those professionals on board, to interview them and make sure they have the proper certifications to work for the city.
I thank you. I
How
thank you
long-
for your answer, Peter, but something's wrong. We've been going in it. I tell you, it's a whirlwind here with this budget.
How
Kyle,
long?
just hold on, quick, so the budget, 740 million, how much you said we've spent to date?
462.
462? All right,
And I saw your couple emails from you this morning, which
yes,
Scott, so I'll get you at all that as well.
all right.
How long does it typically take to onboard someone with a professional degree from posting it and, interviewing and onboarding and training and getting them ramped up to actually be of benefit to the city?
It's very situational. Attorneys, if they're not specialized, it can be a bit quicker. If you're looking for a specific engineer, an elevator operator, or an elevator engineer that we haven't been able to find yet, there's very niche markets that sometimes it takes a while to get those individuals. Plus, we have to make sure that the salaries that we offer are competitive with the current marketplace, our leave packages, our pensions, all that kind of stuff. It requires multiple things, but usually months, if not longer, Councilman.
So there's 4 months left in the year. What happens next year to those? Hypothetically, if everything went perfectly and, we hire the engineers, it's a new year next year, and are those people liable to be fired because let's say the next council wants to keep their money, or the next mayor says,
It would depend on a number of things, whether or not they'll sell the service. There's multiple factors that can factor into that, Councilman. But in the meantime, like I said, we have an engineering firm that the council has granted us permission to contract with. That way, if there are any critical needs or gaps, we have someone on standby that can provide the services to us.
Let me ask you something. Do they still have this meeting that determines who get hired?
HR always meets initially to determine what applications we have and kind of filter them. And then usually we turn it over to the director or the department themselves to make the final call and do the final interviews.
If they don't meet, then nothing moves. Am I correct?
Yes.
It
but
seems like
haven't-
they give the final approval, then it goes to the director, not before. Because
HR.
I don't, this what I understand, if you hire directors and they telling you what they need, it seemed like to me the director should be the one who have the say on exactly, who should come to their department. That's what I understand, because they putting it out there, okay, I have so many staff and you know what, and in my budget, I have 2 missing spaces. So I'm putting it out there, all right, I'm looking for this person. Now what happens is they receive the application. Now it goes to this other committee and this other committee tells them, oh, no, you can't hire. That's backwards.
So, Council President, the directors do have the final say on who they're hiring. The only difference would be if there's a salary condition, if there's some kind of funding source that has to be verified, that's the only time that anyone would enter supersede them.
But I hear what you're saying, Peter, but my thing is though, they already know that they have a certain amount of salary in their budget that they can hire. So I don't know when it comes to that team, whatever it is that meets, that determines that, that's what I have the problem with, because to me, it seemed like it should be the director's call, because the director know if let's say I'm hiring a laborer, okay, and in my budget, I know I can hire the laborer for 50,000. I know that, I'm the director. So I'm putting it out that I'm hiring a labor. I'm putting it in all the meteors or whatever, all right? I receive applications, resumes, all right? I do the interview. It is my department. I know what I need in my department. I know the skill set that I need in my department. Why is it necessary? Then it goes to this board. This board looks at the applications and then tells the director, oh, you can't hire now. That's where I got a problem with, because then yet you telling them that they can hire because the money's there. This middle piece is what's stopping this city from hiring, and I see it. That's been the problem. That's why you can't get laborers. You can't get skilled people, because the directors are doing their part. It's that middle piece. So how do we get rid of that middle piece in 4 months?
Council President, not to make an open season on everything, but what we've usually seen this happen in the past is we have certain positions where we try to hire someone at with the certain guideline of salary that we currently have. The applicants that we get aren't qualified enough or don't meet the expectations of the directors. So sometimes they have to go back to us and ask for authorization to increase the salary or look for different ways to offer their position to individuals. And that's usually when we have to get, the second group involved to see if there's a way to accommodate that.
I have a question, maybe it's legal, maybe like every time we've done this where we've transferred funds from the council to another area of the city, it's always happened after we have passed the budget. And I know we have a law on the books that says essentially the council needs to be funded like other cities of the first class, such as Newark. So my question is, if we were to transfer this funding, would we have to find another million from somewhere else in the budget in order to pass the budget, because our council budget has to be the same as, let's say, Newark?
The council budget is set by ordinance, so you have a maximum amount of aides and a maximum amount of salaries. Council salaries are maxed, and obviously a couple civilian employees, but that's how your budget is introduced, and it is up to the council if they want to fully fund all of those aide positions. At the end of the year, the reason we do transfers is because that is what the budget law permits, is November, December, get to budget transfers with the approval of the council. We do that at the end of the year to cover any over expenditures or any shortfalls or things that may come up. So it's not always the plan. It just typically is how it goes with the city, and it's usually a small percentage of our total budget. The last few years, the council has decided not to fully fund, fully hire in their offices. So that money was surplus end of the year. And whether we transferred it or not, that money was going to be unspent. So
We wouldn't have to offset it. That's just,
well, I mean, only if the council member comes back and wants to hire somebody. I mean, that's something that, this is why I addressed it with the council president and everyone as a whole. If not every member was on board, the finance department was not going to include in the amendment, because we did not want our amendment to fail and just continue to prolong the process. So once I got confirmation from the council president that she wanted the budget to remain as is, Solomon went his route with it. So
And then you couldn't guarantee that these would be funded positions in 2026, correct?
I mean, my intent every year is to fund what the ordinance,
I mean, I'm talking about the engineering positions that we're asking for.
we're not there yet, so, I mean,
Okay,
every budget year is changes.
I know, every year is.
Decides what positions they want to fund or take out or expand on, so
If I
that's
can,
for next year.
yeah, just briefly on what happens in 2026, at least at the start of the year, the temporary budget is based on the approved budget, right? So if these positions are funded in traffic and engineering, then they would be included in the temporary budget in 2026, because that's the based on the 26, what is it, 26% of the past budget. And then obviously a future council and mayor could change it. They could either fund more or fund less, but at least at the start, they would be funded. And then just as my understanding, and that this gets into some things, but you know, our understanding is our chief engineer position has been vacant for over a year. And so we're trying to increase the salary to hire someone, and no matter who the next mayor and council are, they're going to want a chief engineer. I think there's 4 engineer positions that are not fulfilled or not open right now. So we don't have the staff, and so if we're relying on the contractors to fund basic engineering design work, I don't think that's a sustainable plan. But then, you know, furthermore, again, you know, the requests that I've had on these major intersections have been sent for over a year. I mean, I probably could go back and it's probably close to 2 to 3 years. And so again, it's been frustrating. And then obviously members of the public get upset at us and say, why haven't you moved this forward? And, you know, that's why we're trying to find a solution here that actually gets us the team and the staff here. To the council president's point, there are many other departments that also need funds. And so, you know, if there's some agreement among the council to shift some funds, we're always open. So obviously folks can see in the memo what's going where and where the money is. And if there's other, you know, ideas and plans, you know, we can have that discussion in the next, 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the temporary budget, it's just next year's temporary budget will be that percentage of the overall budget. So the way the budget is introduced and adopted is at the legal line. So total salary, wage allocation, total other expense allocations, that detail is all worked out internally. So while we may put funding in for this year to hire those certain positions, that doesn't necessarily mean that the funding in next year's budget will be available for it. Unless those employees are hired for the end of the year, maintain their civil service titles, et cetera, right? So there's just so many moving parts to that, that really finance doesn't really have a say in, aside from making sure that our liabilities are covered.
Carl, let me ask you one question. When we contract out, okay, like engineer, because they couldn't find an engineer, we contracted out. That money that we contracted out with, do we take that from the salaries that are posted to replace that position? Because I'm trying to see is why are we trying to really find somebody to hire? Is because now we under contract with this group here, and part of that funding that's normally with the salaries, we using it to pay this contract?
No, so that was the conversation before we introduced the budget. We wanted to make sure that if we were going to go the route of hiring, that money would be available. And if we were going to use contracts, that would be either available in the other expense lines of the current fund budget that we're voting on now, or within the capital budget. It was the decision that we could make these funds available within our capital budget and reduce the appropriation for, the current year infrastructure budget. So that money isn't made available in salaries and wages right now. It is in another source. So that was a decision that was made to, limit the amount we're increasing the budget this year and, introduce the budget with the, flat tax change.
Tell you, it's a whirlwind.
The city is.
It's a whirlwind.
Carl,
I appreciate you. You know why I appreciate you? Because I see you understand this budget. I gotta say that. You understand this budget more so than anybody that I've seen really came up here and explained it. You really do. I appreciate all that you explained.
Yeah, I got a question to ask. I'm sitting here listening to all this morning, and it gets to be annoying. I look at our parking authority, our police department, our radio room, our DPW, all shorthanded of people, plus all the other departments. I look around the city, I see all this development. It's like unbelievable. All I want to know is everybody's asking me, where's the money? Why is the city bankrupt? Why are we in financial trouble? Why? I mean, with all this development, with everything going on, We should be living in the lap of luxury here. But this city's falling apart.
Said, we're not bankrupt. I'm gonna put that in the record.
That
and I
was-
don't wanna
that was
scare
my
anyone,
next
but I know where we live
question.
right now. You know, there's a number of things that come into it. You'll see that throughout the municipality, you understand that we're one entity. There's a county, there's the school board, there's us. Everyone has consistently increased their taxes. The city, and to the council's benefit, has really kept that under control to offset a lot of increases you see other places. So despite the development, despite the things you happen, we also have a lot of increases. Medical has gone up for everyone as you stand. It's a national problem right now that we're dealing with. There's a lot of sources like that that we have to deal with in our budget to try to offset those things. You know, unfortunately, if you're trying to decide between keeping taxes low and potentially hiring more people, it's a balance that we often put to the council. But we know that with the tax situation in Jersey City, that's the number one priority that we're trying to remedy at this point. Hopefully, if things go down, we can look at increasing that in the future, or the council can, maybe in 2026. But, you know, it's something we just have to monitor closely.
It doesn't make sense. You know, like you look at all the development and you say to yourself, and people are asking me, especially in Journal Square, where's the money? Where are the developers? What are they doing for the city? Why is the city bankrupt? These questions have to be answered. I mean, it's getting to be annoying. People are just disgusted. Taxes are going up. I've lost 3 neighbors in the last 3 weeks, moved out of the city. One for parking, one for taxes, and one because they're just tired of driving around at night looking for a parking space. You know, it's a shame. And somebody has to start taking control of this city and managing it properly.
Peter, let me ask you something. Peter, based on the development that people see going around, how do the developers pay taxes to the city? That needs to be explained. How do they pay the taxes? Because that is a fair question.
So it's a very complicated question. I'll try to make it as basic as possible. It
Okay.
depends largely on the development. Certain developments have pilots. Some of these pilots go
One of the
back.
pilots, a lot of these buildings don't have pilots. We gave out very few.
Correct. So I'm saying is there's pilots that exist that well before the council that is currently up here. We get money from them. Most of the developers pay normal taxes. Commercial properties, sometimes they pay a tax, they pay it based on their income they receive. So there's a number of different ways that we receive income from them. Also, we assess them every year based on their ratables. They often fight those assessments because we're doing millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. So we usually tax them and then maybe have to go back and, you know, adjust those. It's a very complicated situation that we're dealing with. But for the most part, everyone who is developing Jersey City is paying their fair share, especially the developers, especially the larger properties. They have millions of dollars. Everything you see in Journal Square, or mostly everything you see in Journal Square, is paying regular tax dollars besides things that were abated a long time ago. But again, we have healthcare costs that are going up and other expenses. The money has to come from somewhere, Councilman.
Peter, can't see how a 60-story building in Journal Square is paying proper taxes. You have maybe 400 apartments in that building, and you're telling me when the average homeowner on a street is paying $18,000, $20,000 in taxes, and you got 400 people living in a building, what is their share of the taxes? I mean, come on.
Unless it's a condo, Councilman, those individuals don't pay taxes. The building itself pays taxes.
I think
They're paying their fair share.
I guess the biggest problem, and I guess the point of frustration, is that as a city, we have grown drastically from a development perspective. And then everybody's looking around, was like, well, we have more tax ratables. How is everything going up? How is our taxes going up if we have the potential to bring in more revenue?
Yeah, I mean, as far as tax valuation, our ratables do go up significantly every year. It went up 1.6 billion this year alone, and
How much?
1.6 billion. And what that does for us, it generates extra tax revenue that you don't have to increase the rate that you're billing people, right? Your property value goes up, the rate may remain the same, but you get extra tax dollars on those variations. So that's the number we work with when we introduce the budget. We can't speculate what we think it is. Our city assessor assesses the properties, gets approved by the county assessor. That's our valuation for the year. That is what we use to determine what our rate will generate in tax revenue. I I mean, there's really no way around that. And there are massive, massive tax appeals that we're constantly getting hit with. Last year was well over $20 million in just county board judgments, not including tax court judgments and other things. So it may feel like we should have a higher valuation, but the courts aren't seeing it that way. The county's not seeing that way almost every year. So again, this is not something that is in the finance department's control. We're just working with,
Numbers.
what's authorized, and then unfortunately, we try to balance the budget around that. And as far as tax increases go, I've been here going on 9 years now. We've only raised taxes more than 2% 1 year. The major increases have come from the county and Board of Ed. So I know we're getting a majority of the blame, but we're controlling what we can control, and that's the reality of the situation. So to say the city's bankrupt and whatnot's just not true. We're doing a good job, I think. So,
Okay, next one.
all right. So moving on. Item 10.1, Resolution 25495. Subsequent to the other resolution I mentioned, the amendment, this is just additional emergency appropriations to support, the continuation of services. The total budget will be raised to 582 million from 547 million approved at the last council meeting.
Go ahead.
10.50, Resolution 25544. This is authorizing a professional service agreement with Willens, Goldman, and Spitzer to provide legal counsel for the city for bond-related matters. This was a request for qualifications, an RFQ. They were the only proposal that we received. They were also our bond counsel advisors last year. So we made the decision to request to retain them. Good. Next. Item 10.4, 25498, and 10.5, Resolution 25499. This is a resolution to cancel outstanding stale checks covering majority of 2022 and 2023. So what happens is the council approves checks to vendors every council meeting. The city mails them out. And every now and then, we typically do it on an annual basis, and we did have a resolution last year to cancel some checks. This was just one account we didn't get to last year. So we're canceling these checks that were not cashed. And again, this was all approved by council, authorized in previous budgets. So this money will be returning to us as surplus. Councilman Gilmore, I will get you that detail you request this morning. There was one particular check that I looked into for $1 million. That was actually just an interfund so we have multiple funds. We have the current fund budget, and then we have grant funds, HUD, community development. We had a reimbursement check from community development for VIA. What we did is in this year's AFS, we made manual adjustments with the cash balances. And so we're just eliminating that interfund and canceling that check. So there's no impact to the budget or anything there. That was money pretty much check cut from ourselves to ourselves. That's it.
Just one quick question. Do you have just an update on the audit, the 2024 audit?
Yeah, so we're pretty close to wrapping up the single audit. There's just a few non-finance items that they're waiting on documentation for. I believe the auditor's deadline was this week, and if he doesn't get everything, he's just going to proceed, and anything that's not answered will be a finding, and hopefully we'll have that early September.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Carl. Christine?
Council President, members of City Council, I have 2 items for you today. They're both insurance certificates, item 10.13 and 10.32. One is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to issue a certificate of insurance for Tops Holding for the purposes of the Jersey City Youth Mural Project. An insurance certificate, okay. And then the second one is for Hudson County for the use of their showmobile for Summerfest.
Hello, I'm here on 4 items from city planning. The first is item 3.2, ordinance 25-086. It's a first reading ordinance, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Journal Square 2060 redevelopment plan and the St. John's redevelopment plan. This was authorized by a resolution in August of 2024. There was a good number of community meetings, meetings with the councilperson and the councilperson's aide for Ward C. And in June of this year, the amendments got a favorable recommendation by Planning Board for adoption here at City Council. The scope of the amendments includes multiple items. One is the corner bonus E provision for the creation of public parking in and around Journal Square to service the general public, but also to hopefully be located close to adjacent attractors like the county courthouse, the Lowe's Theater. There's also a Lowe's Art Walk and loading bonus, which is to encourage nearby developments to, one, improve and widen the walk between the Lowe's Theater and continue it all the way down to Tunnelly Avenue, should those projects be realized. Replacement of dwelling units subject to rent control. So in the occasion where there is a building that has rent control units that is incorporated into a larger development, those rent controlled units would be required to be put back 1-for-1 for low income affordable housing. A beneficial uses overlay, which includes many uses that we thought are important to allow in any district in Journal Square, such as senior housing and so forth, as well as map changes. One being the primary change to the St. John's redevelopment plan, which changes the boundary of the two plans, moving 3000 Kennedy Boulevard from the St. John's redevelopment plan. Many people might know it as the Dollar Tree building with the parking above it, into the Journal Square redevelopment plan, and that is contained on a map that's shown in the packet, as well as updates to the circulation map and the corner lot bonus map, which relates to that public parking bonus. In this ordinance, as well as that resolution that authorized this, the resolution of the planning board recommending adoption, and the amendment text itself showing those changes in strike through or yellow highlights and blue highlights. If the council has any questions, I can answer them.
Yeah, John, Matt, first of all, I spoke to the people from St. John's today, and nobody ever sit down with them and explain this. And I'm going to ask this to be pulled again until September. And secondly, because we were supposed to sit down with you, Tanya, and anybody else and go over this whole issue of the Journal Square. Remember, we had the meeting up in St. Joseph's. We had about 150 to 200 people there, and they were violent about what was going on. In a nice way, they were violent.
Rich.
Yeah, in a nice way, they were.
Watch the word, watch the
Yes,
word.
Rich, they wasn't violent.
I watched my terminology. And I spoke to the people up there this morning, and until we sit down with you, with Tanya, and with other people from the community and from St. John's, I'm going to ask for both 3.3 and 3.4 to be pulled till next month. Because you don't get back to us, you don't explain anything, and I'm tired of it. And I'm
Rich, you said 3.3 and 3.4, you mean 3.2?
2.2 and 3.3. I spoke to.
Matt, you want to
I
explain and explain to the councilman?
Yeah. So I would be happy to sit down with you tomorrow.
Not with me. You got to sit down with the neighborhood and other people. There's Lipsky, there's Mike Manzo on 3.3. I mean, you come up with all these things, but you don't come to the community and explain things. And people in Ward C are tired of it. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of what's going on. I'm tired of like seeing Palisade Avenue was destroyed, 5 corners destroyed, and nobody does a damn thing. Nobody gets back to us. They just do things now. And in all the years in the city, I've never seen it like this.
And let me ask you a question.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth. We took out a large part of this amendment at the request of the councilman, which is incorporated in this, so it's no longer in this amendment. It's no longer part of the scope of this amendment. If there, I didn't realize that there was an issue with 3000 Kennedy. That was made explicit in the authorizing resolution from last August, 2024. If that is an element that is severable at this time, I think that the council should maybe entertain that, and we can try to bring that element back, because it is a discrete piece of this amendment. There are lots of other items that are working together that have been in discussion for a very long time. Were even put on hold for at the last amendment, which precipitated that the councilperson's authorization in August of 2024 last year to bring this amendment again, given more time to massage. If that's an element that you want to remove this time, perhaps that's something that we can discuss. I would like to discuss it before Wednesday's meeting if that's something that you wish. But there are many items that I think the council should hear at least the planning board's recommendation. And if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Not to delay anything, I recommend if you're feasible, Matt and Councilman, maybe just meet tomorrow with it. That way, before the council decides to withdraw anything, they just know they have a complete understanding of what they're withdrawing or what changes might be happening.
All right, Matt, come on down to City Hall tomorrow. Let's sit down and talk about it. And as far as 3.3, I spoke to Mike Manzo. The developer was supposed to come back, meet with the people. They've changed things. They never met with the people, and the people down there are ticked off.
Okay, so I admittedly am not the point person on this, and Tanya is away on vacation, but there is counsel here that is petitioning for this amendment, should you wish to have them up to answer any questions. I think that before this item is concluded before Caucus, perhaps the rest of the council would want.
You know, Matt, when a developer says they're coming back to the community, they make changes and they're coming back to the community to explain this, and they don't show up and they just go to you people and they want to get approval. No, it don't work that way anymore. I'm sorry. So maybe Mike Manzo, if I can get him down here tomorrow and a couple of people from the neighborhood, let's have a meeting. Come on down here and let's sit down. But
you know what my concern is? Do we have a list of community groups? The reason why I said it, because he just keeps saying one name. And the dangerous thing is when we pass law, we pass it based on one person. And then we adjust it again. And then another person come back and say, we didn't meet with them. So my concern is always, is there a community group that, you know, you guys meet with, and based on the feedback you get from them, then y'all move forward? Because I know in any project, you're not going to satisfy everybody. You're not. But if there's a community group that represents the community, then I think it's fair for them, you know, to really be, you know, have a voice at the table. Because he just keeps saying one person, but how does the other community feel? That's all I just want to know, Rich. Because then if he says something and then somebody else say, well, you know, we didn't agree with that, then we'll be having Matt going like a yo-yo back and forth here trying to please. But based on the first ordinance, he said he spoke to the councilman and he made some adjustments.
Mike represents the community down there, and he represents a lot of people in Marion. And, you know, the developer was supposed to come back, speak to them, and he never did. So I spoke to him this morning. I spoke to Steve Lipsky this morning, and I spoke to others this morning. And, you know, Matt, like I said, we were supposed to sit down and all this was supposed to be explained, and it never was. You know, and after that meeting where all those people were there and you saw how angry those people were, in a nice way, they were angry. Okay. But
it was a constructive conversation. So I appreciate you organizing that meeting. It was a very constructive meeting.
Yeah, appreciate it. So I guess Rich is going to set up a meeting in the morning, make sure these voices are heard, and after that, we'll just keep moving forward.
I will say that I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball on the second item, which is 3.3, ordinance 25-087. I would prefer, I can attend the meeting, but I
believe
that the council person, or that means, sorry, the council who is petitioning for this amendment on behalf of their client would like to probably have time to speak with the councilman and anyone else that might have questions on that item. Do we still want to invite that person up? They are here.
Let them meet with, Rich afterwards. They're here. Just come see Rich after.
Okay, understood.
Okay?
All right, I have two more items. Resolution 10.33, 25-527. This is a resolution of, I'm sorry. I have the one wrong. A resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the planning board to conduct a preliminary investigation of the conditions of Block 6001, Lot 45 study area for determination as an area in need of redevelopment without the power of condemnation as described herein, pursuant to the local and housing redevelopment law. Local redevelopment and housing law. There's a map attached to this resolution. This was a request that came to city planning from the administration. It is already in a redevelopment area. However, this is a redevelopment plan that has existed for some time. And staff felt it necessary as a first step to restudy it as an area in need of redevelopment prior to any further consideration by council. And the last resolution is 10.51 on the agenda, resolution 25-545. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Jersey City directing the planning board to prepare an amendment or revision to the Powerhouse Arts District Development Plan. This is a resolution that will ask us to take a look at the Powerhouse redevelopment plan. We believe that we forwarded this request to the downtown ward council person and understood that there's they were.
And I can
be a surprise.
Yeah, I can speak briefly about this. So this is the forwarding for the planning board. So the planning board would study and obviously come back with recommendations. There is a surface parking lot on the corner of Morgan and Warren that has a as of right development of around 12 stories. The current owner or under contract is making a proposal to increase that to 20 stories. And so the sort of core changes are obviously you're adding more units, you're adding more height. You would be going from 0 affordable to 15% affordable, and they're adding art space and they're adding an infrastructure improvement. So they're adding a lot back to the community. There's a community meeting to be held about it, I think next week it's either this week or next week, but we will forward everybody the information so people and staff can be a part of that. And on our end, we want to hear what both the community and the planning board have to say before it comes back to council.
Thank you for your time.
Asia.
Good morning, Council. Deja Anderson, Director of Division of Community Development. I have 6 resolutions for you today. The first one is item 10.25. That's resolution 25-519. This is a resolution to reprogram Community Development Block Grant CARES Act. So that's that coronavirus funding from the Department of Recreation to the Department of Health and Human Services. The city was able to identify other funds. So we are reducing the award to cover HHS for $290,296.84 for staffing and the associated expenses for operating the Ruby bus. The next item that I have for you is 10.26. That's Reso 10.520, and it's a resolution to authorize the business administrator to execute a discharge of the mortgage encumbering 133 Clerk Street in Jersey City. The homeowner did receive neighborhood stabilization funds in the amount of $110,725. All terms for the mortgage have been satisfied and the city is obligated to discharge. Okay. The next item that I have for you is 10.27. That's Resolution 25-521. And this is a resolution authorizing the program of awards and contracts under our community service block grant for the 2025 program year. Again, this is pass-through funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the state of New Jersey to us. This funding does come in 2 tranches. So this is for us to accept the first tranche of funding, which is going to focus on food insecurity services by us funding Grace Van Voorst Community Service, HHS, Let's Celebrate, and The Sharing Place. Okay. The next item that I have for you is 10.28. That's Resolution 25-522. And this is a resolution to authorize the business administrator to execute the discharge of a mortgage encumbering 410-412 Halliday Street in Jersey City. And this owner did receive funding under the Home Investments Partnership Program in the amount of $52,000. All requirements under this mortgage have been satisfied and the city is obligated to discharge. Okay, the next item that I have for you is 10.29, which is Resolution 25-523. This is a resolution asking to be able to amend a prior resolution 24-678, which would authorize the sale of 362 Hoboken Avenue, Unit 302. It has an AKA. That address is also known as 65 Fleet Street. And this would also authorize the new property owner to assume the city's notes, the mortgage, and the deed restriction that encumber the property. So this is a unit that is held by a qualified low to moderate income buyer. They are looking to sell. They are going to sell to another qualified low income buyer. Okay, there was an accompanying resolution to this that does not seem that it made the agenda. However, this would also require a mortgage subordination because the city's now mortgage that encumber this property needs to move to a lower position so this new individual can secure the mortgage to actually purchase the property. So, Council President, at this time, I don't know if there's the possibility for me to be able to walk on this mortgage assumption resolution, but without this going on, the purchaser would have to push back their mortgage closing until after our next meeting on September the 10th, and that is not ideal.
Okay, stand it on.
Thank you very much. Okay, and the last item that I have for you is actually Resolution 10.62. That is Resolution 25-556. And this is a resolution to authorize amendments to and the forgiveness of notes made by Fairmount Hotel Urban Renewal Associates LP to the city of Jersey City and authorizing the discharge of mortgage for the acquisition and renovation of 2595 Kennedy Boulevard, also known as the Fairmount Hotel. So you have the resolution in front of you, but in summary, and for the record, the Fairmount Hotel did receive home investment grant for the property. And this was over 30 years ago. They received home, they received CDBG, they received linkage funds in the property. The total amount that they received from the city, I'm sorry, I don't have that number added up for you. However, The prior director of this office in this mortgage note did add in an interest rate with a balloon payment that would be due to the city at the end of the restricted period. This property's restricted period ended on November the 28th in 2024. I have been in communication with the property owner in addition to the state of New Jersey. With this sale, the property owner already has application into it, the state, for a specific grant program specifically for buildings who have affordable restrictions that are looking to expire, for them to be able to do rehabilitation work in the property. The payment due to the city is $2,272,954.40. Should the city decide not to waive this repayment, that would make the Fairmount Hotel, which is currently affordable senior housing, market rate housing. By discharging this repayment, and in thinking of thought process and intent of why this repayment was written into this particular program, was to give the city a space for negotiation to be able to incur some new affordable restrictions in the future. But by way of not requiring this repayment and waiving this obligation, they can apply for the state funds. They can do the needed and necessary repairs to this senior housing. The state will then encumber this property for a period of 30 up to 45 years. So we will retain this senior housing. We will be able to retain it as affordable, which I think is in the best interest of not only the city, the residents that reside in the building. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me on this?
Director, is there, assuming this all moves forward, what's the plan and as the repairs are done for the seniors? Are they going to be relocated during the repair process? Or the repairs going to be done while they're in unit? Do we have any details on that piece of this?
So this whole process for the repair, so once you guys approve this resolution,
Right.
I will not have any additional oversight over the process.
Right.
So the state of New Jersey is going to be managing that process moving forward. However, to address that, I did have this conversation with the current property owners. This work is going to trigger the Uniform Relocation Act. It's going to require him to put a plan together ahead of time on how he intends to do the rehab work for the seniors. I'm aware that there was a newspaper article discussing this and discussing the concerns of the residents, which I did also put forth to the current property owner. Now, as his potentially modified plans on how he wants to work with the seniors, provide them with other locations. I don't know if he currently has vacant units where he can put seniors and then work inside of the unit in the building and then put them back. There's a host of ways that we can do this process. I am willing to be a partner in conversation, but I just wanted to be really clear that I have no ordinance or anything behind me to force conversation or force for any of these actions, but I can share point contact with NJHMFA and who's going to be working with the property owner on this. So as the city, we can still advocate for our residents as required.
That'd be great if you could share the contact as well as for both the developer and NJHMFA.
That is absolutely not a problem.
Thank you.
Director, I want to thank you. The director invited me down to her department. I met with her staff. They're unbelievable. They truly care about people of Jersey City. They explained everything that's available to me, to the citizens, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that offer stands to any member of the council. Should you ever want to come down to community development and have a more focused talk on how our resources can impact and support your ward specifically, the team is always available.
Director, where's your office?
At 4 Jackson Square, right on the first floor.
Thank you, thank you.
Director, before you go, if you would be so kind just to email me the title of that resolution that we're adding onto the agenda.
Okay, because I
Greatly
think we
appreciate
already went in and switched it to September the 10th, so I'll have that date modification for you. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Chief Johnson.
Council.
Good morning, Chief.
I'm just here for a resolution about one of our apparatus that we're repurchasing.
Which number is that?
Council President, 1019, Resolution 513.
It's just a replacement for an apparatus. Most of our apparatus is supposed to be replaced in 10-year terms. We have this specific apparatus, a tiller truck needed for certain areas of the city. I'm well aware that the expenditures for apparatus in the last several years went through the roof. They've doubled in the last 10 years in pricing. But this apparatus is, it's overdue and it's needed. I know we've just had meetings with the city recently about more apparatus that are needed, and we're in the process of ordering more apparatus after this one.
Questions?
Just to add to that, what we generally try to do is purchase one or two every other year. That way there's no point in time where we have multiple failures, which of course impacts public safety, but also greatly impacts the financing of the city. So we generally try to spread these out, evenly as much as we can. This one in question, I think we have two current ones, but one was built in 1992. The other was built in 1996. So they're quickly approaching the end of life, and we just want to make sure that we're prepared going forward.
Just currently, we have on a daily basis 28 to 30 apparatus on duty every day. And because of the rigorous job that we do and using the apparatus 24/7, our apparatus are wear down all the time and break down. So we do have currently about 10 spare apparatus that are older apparatus that we've recycled. And the need for replacements is really needed for the department moving forward. So to get one or two every year is vital for us to keep moving forward.
Actually, I just want to chime into that because the chief nailed it. If any of us want to go by DPW and you look at the fire garage, there's usually a lot of apparatuses there that's in need of repair. But I know it's a costly thing to pay. But the more we go up in the city and the more buildings we build in the city, we need to make sure that, we have fire apparatuses, So it's sad because a lot of the times these firehouses are operating on spares that are 25, 26 years old, right? Not only do you put the residents at danger, but you also put the firefighters at danger as well. So if we could kind of maybe make sure that, we don't get to that close to having apparatuses, not that many apparatuses, it would be great. And this is just not to the fire department. We have the same situation in the police department as well, where they need equipment and they need things to work up on a daily basis. So
we'll be on that. And really quickly, we just have one more item. I just want to keep the chief here in case anyone has questions. We have 1063, item 25-557. That's a SAFER grant. That's a grant where we see federal dollars to help us pay for fire personnel and different things throughout the fire department. It's in the millions of dollars, so it's very important the city receive this. We're just working through some of the language because with the change in administration federally, there's been new language updates. We're just making sure that comports with what we believe in, what we idolize in the city. So we want to put that forward just because we're on a time constraint there, but we'll have updates for you if necessary by Wednesday.
Just to add one point about apparatus, the reason why there's a necessity for ordering these apparatus is because the time frame to receive them, we're looking at 3 to 4 years in build times to receive an apparatus. So this apparatus you're voting on, and we actually received it already. It's built, it's ordered, and we have it in the city. But future apparatus could take 3 to 4 years to just build it. So that's a factor involved with our concern with apparatus moving forward. We have to look at it, 5 years from now, receiving apparatus that we're ordering today.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, on to our first readings. Items 3.1 through 3.3 were touched on earlier. Item 3.4, City Ordinance 25-088 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to 88 Regent Street LLC and its successors and assigns to have private improvements in the public right-of-way of Regent Street adjacent to the property located at 88 Regent Street, Jersey City, New Jersey, identified on the tax maps of the city of Jersey City as Block 14002, lots 1.02 and 1.06. Item 3.5, City Ordinance 25-089 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to Ian Gutch and Shannon Smith pursuant to resolution of the Planning Board of the City of Jersey City under case number P2 2024-0135, allowing the installation of a common entry stoop and stair that, God bless you, that extended into the right-of-way beyond the boundary lines of Lot 30, Block 19007, and are for the benefit of Lot 30, Block 19007, commonly known as 328 Holiday Street in Jersey City, New Jersey. Item 3.6, Ordinance 25-090 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City to execute an extension of a lease with New Jersey Schools Development Authority on the real property at Block 21102, Lot 52, on the city's tax map located at 70 Ege Avenue for the purpose of temporary parking for the VIA JC service.
Hold on, Sean.
Sure.
BA, what are we doing here? I asked, I think 2 years ago, and that was supposed to be the last time. We subsequently did, I think, 2 more extensions, and now this is the 3rd one. You guys don't have a plan.
We do have a plan. There's actually another item on the agenda that addresses that. We did an RFP. The RFP was worked on, decided. The committee selected a new vendor. It'll be River North Transit, which is via. Part of the RFP was requesting them to have a proposal to us where they had to actually provide their own parking. So we didn't have the solution anymore. So that's included in their the RFP and the contract that we're working out with them. That's another item on this agenda. The one that we're putting up now is just for another 3 months because in the interim, while we finalize everything, we don't want to have a situation where the cars can't be parked anywhere and, you know, we have to stop services.
You said that last 3 times.
Say that again?
You said that the last 3 times.
The item is actually on the agenda this time, Councilman.
Goodness. Yeah, Sean.
Thank you. Item 3.7, City Ordinance 25-091 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, parking for the disabled of the Jersey City Code designated reserved parking space at various locations throughout the city. Item 3.8, City Ordinance 25-092 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, stop intersections to designate various intersections in the Heights neighborhood into multi-way stop intersections. 3.9, City Ordinance 25-093 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, Stopping, amending Section 332-24, parking prohibited certain hours along Van Winkle Avenue between Tunnelly Avenue and Liberty Avenue. And last but not least, 3.10, City Ordinance, 25-094 is an ordinance supplementing 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 8, Permit Parking, amending Section 332-58, Parking Restrictions in Residential Zones to extend Parking Zone 2 to include Clifton Place between Fairmont Avenue and Summit Avenue. On to our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 25-078 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City to renew the lease with Riverview Community Garden for the use of Block 3002, Lot 2, more commonly known as 285 Ogden Avenue for a community garden. Item 4.2, City Ordinance 25-079 is an ordinance authorizing the accepting the deed of a street and sidewalks on a portion of Chapel Avenue situated at Block 27503, Lot 14-14.01. Item 4.3, City Ordinance 25-080 is an ordinance authorizing the execution of an easement, access, and maintenance agreement between 500 Communipaw Avenue LLC and the City of Jersey City in connection with the construction of a residential building at 500-510 Communipore Avenue. Item 4.4, City Ordinance 25-081 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City to acquire certain real property known as Block 27503, Lot 13.01, on the city's tax map located on the foot of Chapel Avenue from Liberty National Development Corporation LLC for the purposes of ensuring continued ferry service to the public. Item 4.5, City Ordinance 25-082 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City Municipal Council amending Chapter 163 Firearms and Weapons to add Article 6 Firearm Storage Requirements. Item 4.6, City Ordinance 25-083 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3 Parking, Standing, Stopping, amending Section 332-24 Parking Prohibited at Certain Hours at St. Joseph's School, 509 Pavonia Avenue. And item 4.7, City Ordinance 25-084 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2 Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8 Prohibited right turns on red signal to prohibit turns on red at all times at various locations, various intersections along Summit Avenue in Journal Square neighborhood and at Grand Street. We will have a public hearing on the 2025-2026 Journal Square Special Improvement Assessment Roll and Budget. And then we'll have our public speakers. Right now, it's at 16. Any questions or comments on petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.54? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on office communications 7.1 through 7.10? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on report of directors 8.1 through 8.3? We have our claims and going right into the resolutions. Items 10.1 through 10.8 were touched on earlier. Item 10.9, resolution 25-503 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the award of program contracts to various nonprofit awardees for the summer of 2025.
Is this for the administration? Is this through the cannabis funds or can you give a little more information about this?
Yes, I believe this is the community group related to cannabis funds. There are some applicants that, for whatever reason, weren't included last time. So we just want to make sure that they didn't miss out on these funding opportunities.
Would you guys be able to send us a list of everyone who applied and then how much was awarded? So like, did everyone get one? Did some groups get one and some groups didn't? Just that, so we get the full overview of who applied and what awards were given?
Absolutely. And I think the previous ones I'll send everyone. There's usually a separate amount between $5,000 and $10,000 everyone qualified for, depending on their application. Some got, the lower end, some got towards the higher end, but they had to justify that in their application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Item 10.10, resolution 25-504 is a resolution rejecting all bids received by the City of Jersey City on June 5th, 2025 for providing financial advisory services. Item 10.11, resolution 25-505 is a resolution recognizing Coach Isaiah Thomas and the Snyder High School track team for the excellence in athletics and supporting equitable recognition for student athletes. Item 10.12, resolution 25-506 is a resolution ratifying the extension of professional service contract with Struljic Gargiulo Twin Borough PT Associates on a month-to-month basis until new contract is awarded for the Division of Risk Management and authorizing the payment of a claim. 10.13 was touched on earlier. 10.14, resolution 25-508. It's a resolution reappointing Rachel B. Sieg as a member of the Jersey City Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. Item 10.15, resolution 25-509 is a resolution introducing and approving the 2025-2026 budget of the McGinley Square Special Improvement District, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing, and directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget. Item 10.16, resolution 25-510 is a resolution accepting the 2025-2026 assessment roll of the Journal Square Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. Item 10.17, 25-511 is a resolution adopting and ratifying the 2025-2026 budget of the Journal Square Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. Item 10.18, 25, Resolution 25-512 is a resolution appointing Omar Manning as the fire official of the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire and Emergency Services, Bureau of Fire Prevention.
Briefly, I have a legal question and a substantive question. The legal question, is this a tenured appointment? Is it how does the kind of appointment work in this case?
I'm not certain. I'll look into it. I'm not sure who submitted this.
Okay, that'd be great. And then just on a substantive basis, we'll reach out to Fire Officer Manning to set up a conversation. We've had 2 events since he's been the acting fire official where there were some concerns expressed to us. Obviously don't know all the facts. I don't want to, but I do want to flag. I will reach out to him, talk about those 2 things prior to a vote, and let the council know.
And Kevin, if you need any support from the administration, let us know. We'll
Yeah,
accommodate.
thank you.
Okay. Item 10.19 was touched on earlier. Item 10.20, Resolution 25-514 is a resolution authorizing the cancellation of unexpected budget appropriation balances of the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Disease Prevention.
Hey, Peter, can you give us, I'm trying to see, because I noticed no one from the health department wasn't here today. So what specifically, what happened here as it relates to this STD testing services?
Give me 1 second, Councilman.
Sean, if you want to go and then come back?
If you guys don't mind, I'll come back to
Yeah, we're good.
10.20 that we want to come back to.
Yeah, let me see if I can get some more information about it.
All right.
Worst case scenario, we can pull it and then we can always put it back on if we're done
All right.
for the responses.
Okay, 10.21 was touched on earlier. Item 10.22, Resolution 25-516 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to apply for and accept grant funding from the New Jersey Department of Health under the fiscal year 2026 Strengthening Local Public Health Capacity Grant Program to build infectious disease preparedness and response capacity. Item 10.23, Resolution 25-517 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to accept terms and conditions of the New Jersey Department of Health for Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to license and inspect temporary food vendors operating at festivals and other special events held on Liberty State Park property and execute a letter of understanding. Item 10.24, Resolution 25-518 is a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by Longview International Technology Solutions for installing and servicing kiosks that dispense health testing and harm prevention products for the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Disease Prevention. Items 10.25 through 10.33 were touched on earlier. Item 10.34, Resolution 25-528. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of a subrecipient agreement with the City of Hoboken in connection with the United States Department of Transportation's grant award to the City of Jersey City for Safer Streets and for Roads for All grant. Item 10.35, Resolution 25-529 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to apply for and accept grant funding from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs under the fiscal year 2025 Capital Improvement Program to support the demolition and asbestos remediation of Hudson County Administration Building. Item 10.36, Resolution 25-530 is a resolution authorizing the traffic engineer to provide by regulation for the temporary closing of 3rd Street from Erie Street to Manila Avenue for school use where such closing is necessary for the preservation of public safety, health, or welfare. Item 10.37, Resolution 25-531 is a resolution supplementing the manual of the loading zone designations of the city of Jersey City, designating a loading zone at 71 Sip Avenue. Item 10.38, Resolution 25-532 is a resolution supplementing the manual of loading zone designations of the city of Jersey City, designating a loading zone at 626 Newark Avenue. Item 10.39, Resolution 25-533 is a resolution supplementing the manual of loading zone designations of the city of Jersey City, designating a loading zone as various locations within the proximity of Newark Avenue pedestrian mall. Item 10.40, Resolution 25-534 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Power Concrete for the 2025 on-call concrete ADA ramps project number 2025-005-E for the Department of Infrastructure Division of Engineering.
Just briefly, I know the Department of Infrastructure is not here. One of the things that Hoboken did very successfully in Vision Zero is anytime an AD ramp was done, they would also do the bump outs with it. And we haven't done that. And prior to approving this contract, I'd like to see if that's something we can add to what we're doing. So I'll put that in an email. But then if we don't have clarity before Wednesday, would want to make sure we have a plan in place going forward. Yeah, thanks.
Item 10.41, City Resolution 25-535 is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service agreement, Colliers Engineering and Design, Mazer Construction PA for the implementation of the operations and maintenance plan for the remainder of 2025 through the first quarter of 2026 on the PJP landfill site, project number 10-018 at 400 Sip Avenue, routes 1 and 9 for the Department of Infrastructure Division of Engineering. Item 10.42, Resolution 25-536 is a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by Ironbound Community Corporation for the Resilient Northeastern Action Plan. Items 10.43 through 10.46 were touched on earlier. Item 10.47, Resolution 25-541 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to AME Inc. to upgrade and replace the existing proprietary Johnston Controls Inc. building management system at the Jersey City Police West District under the state contract for the Department of Public Works Division of Building and Street Maintenance. Item 10.48, Resolution 25-542 is a resolution removing the restrictive covenant that affects Block 22305, Lot 5, also known as 204 Orient Avenue in Jersey City.
Peter, can you give us some background on this?
This is 1048, Councilman. Let me see 1 second. If you want, Councilman, come back to that one at the end. I have the
All right,
question.
I'll come back to those two, Sean.
All right. Next, item 10.49, Resolution 25-543 is a resolution authorizing the city tax collector to enter into a written agreement for a pilot payment installment plan for AHM Housing Associates 4 LLC, Penrose Properties. Excuse me.
John,
Yes.
my office submitted those. So for 1049 and 1054, we submitted them on behalf of our office as well as the tax collector. Just as a summary, there's always a back and forth about whether or not somebody owes us money. For 1049, we all agree that there was an underpayment and we'll be getting $153,742.02 in this payment plan for 1049. And then as to 1054, that was the result of some tax appeals and some back and forth. And the city and the other party agree that we're still owed a little bit over $1 million, and they will be paying that to us in monthly installments over the next 2 years. That's money coming in.
Hey, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Money in the bank.
So now we are at 1049 and 1050 and 1051 were touched on earlier. 10.52, Resolution 25-546 is a resolution authorizing the award of professional services contract to Langdon Engineering and Environmental Services LLC in connection with a comprehensive building demolition service, including testing of existing materials, design specifications on bid documents for the County Administration Building Demolition Project 2023-019 for the Department of Infrastructure, Division of Architecture. Item 10.53 and 54 were touched on earlier. Item 10.55, Resolution 25-549 is a resolution ratifying the emergency contract award to Princeton Hydro LLC for routine mechanical weed and alleged algae harvesting services for Reservoir 3 for the Department of Infrastructure, Division of Architecture. Thank you. Item 10.56, Resolution 25-550 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract to Statewide Striping Corporation for the citywide traffic striping program for project number 2025-003 for the Department of Infrastructure, Division of Traffic Engineering. Item 10.57, Resolution 25-551 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Smith-Sondy Asphalt Construction for the Municipal Avenue Safety Improvements for Jersey City Project Number 15-004-T, Federal Project Number HSIP-1691 for the Department of Infrastructure, Division of Engineering.
Sean,
Yes.
for that one, 57 and 58. I don't know if there's anybody here that can kind of,
So
To
for
what the changes are.
10.57 and 10.58.
yeah.
So there is a memo that is in front of all of the council, and I actually emailed the memo to you.
Yeah, I
from
think these are
Director.
Parker's, yeah, we can email it.
Yeah,
Oh.
these are Director Patel's items. I did clarify with her that this isn't changing directions of lanes or anything like that. This is more about street improvements, traffic signals, lights, things of that nature, beautification, striping, et cetera. But I can have her give you more information, or if there's anything specific you want, you can contact her directly.
Yeah, because it doesn't say on here, and it says safety improvements, but I'm not sure what that means.
So Councilwoman, if you wouldn't mind just emailing the director, and
Okay.
I'm sure she'll be able to answer the questions on both 10.57 and 10.58. And I'll just read 10.58 into the record. Resolution 25-552 is a resolution authorizing the award of a professional services contract to T&M Associates for the construction, engineering, management, and inspection services for Municipal Avenue Safety Improvements, Jersey City Project Number 15-004-T, Federal Project Number HSIP-1691 for the Department of Infrastructure, Division of Engineering. 10.59, Resolution 25-553 is a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract to River North Transit LLC to provide on-demand micro-transit services for the city of Jersey City. Item 10.60, Resolution 25-554 is a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract to Alta Planning and Design to provide professional planning services for the for the development of Hoboken Vision Zero Action Plan Update and Supplemental Studies. Item 10.61, Resolution 25-555. It's a resolution authorizing the award of competitively bid contract to the Street Plans Collaborative to provide professional planning services for the development of the Jersey City Vision Zero Action Plan Update and Supplemental Studies. Items.
Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
for 1060, I'm just trying to figure this out. So I guess Jersey City is a subrecipient of a Hoboken grant. Okay, that's why it says we're doing this for Hoboken. Okay, we'll get some emails. I just wanted to make sure we weren't paying for Hoboken.
Councilman, we're not. There's actually 3 resolutions that are all connected to each other.
Okay.
One approving the Hoboken / Jersey City side, and then the individual awards to the individuals.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. I just was a little confused for a minute.
Yeah, and
As I mean, I like those guys, but
that's also
they don't need our money.
Not that much.
Yeah, not that much.
That's also another one from the Department of Infrastructure.
Yeah,
Council.
okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
Okay, items 10.62 through 10.65 were touched on earlier. Item 10.66, Resolution 25-560, a resolution of the Jersey City Municipal Council in the support of BLESC Housing Group application to New Jersey Affordable Housing Trust Fund Program for proposed affordable housing project at 314-316 Martin Luther King Drive, Block 22604, Lot 24. And the last item on the agenda, item 10.67, Resolution 25-561, a resolution authorizing the closure of the public right-of-way per ordinance 25-073 in connection with the Jersey City Marathon Half Marathon for Sunday, April 19th, 2026.
Real quick, Councilman, address the two that you pulled out. 1020, that was the disease prevention from HHS. That looks like it's a cancellation of 3 separate grants from 2022 to 2023 in the amount of about $59,000 total. One of those is a federal grant for HIV, and the other was spending about $13,000 for another grant. I'm not exactly sure. It looks like the funds might have just weren't expended because they're able to do the services less than what we originally got the grant for. But I'll get the exact details of why the $59,000 wasn't spent. That was units for not giving anything back. We don't have to. And then for 1048, it looks like that was a restrictive covenant that was recorded in a deed back in 1971. So essentially, the city-owned property, they sold it to a private individual. They sold it. They put language in that deed saying certain things can't be built there. Among them, chemical plants, car storage, all that kind of stuff. They're removing that because one of the things it says was horizontal condominiums, but the area is zoned for high rises. So it's a conflict there. So just removing that bit of language.
All right.
Motion.
I'll ask for a motion to adjourn at 12:17. Motion was made by Councilperson Gilmore. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh was first. On the motion to adjourn at 12:17 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 12:17 PM. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great rest of the day and stay safe.